Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Instacar HK. Today, we go back to 1966 at the 24 Hours Le Mans race, where Ferrari suffered a humiliating defeat to the Ford GT40s. Many of you will have seen the historical photo with the three GT40s taking P1, P2, and P3. It was all over the media, and the Americans have been milking that story since then, including telling the story in Hollywood blockbusters such as Ford versus Ferrari with Christian Bale and Matt Damon. What Hollywood wouldn't tell you is that a year after, Ferrari had its sweet revenge at Ford's home turf in the 24 Hours Daytona race in America, where Ferrari with their P3s, P4s, and 412P took P1, P2, and P3 and totally destroyed the Ford GT40s. Well, more like the GT40s destroyed themselves as none of them finished the race. Now, with that sweet revenge, Ferrari really vindicated themselves, and to celebrate that, they came out with this Ferrari Daytona. Now, the Daytona is actually a nickname for the car because the actual name was the 365 GTB4. Now, rumor has it that internally, Ferrari wanted to name this car the Daytona to celebrate the 24 Hours Daytona success. But unfortunately, before the car was officially launched, the name was leaked to the media, and the media published it to the public. That angered Enzo, and Enzo decided to pull the official name and instead call it the 365 GTB4. Now, why 365 is because this car has the famous V12 Colombo engine with 4.4 liters, meaning each cylinder has 365 cc of capacity. Now, the V12 carbureted engine produces 350 horsepower, which is quite a lot for the 70s. This car's top speed, 175 miles per hour, which is the fastest car back then in the 70s. Now, this particular car is from 1973, and Ferrari produced 1,284 units of the Daytona Coupe. Of course, they also made 100-odd Spiders, but those are unicorn level. But this, being 1,284, is still a pretty rare car as well. Now, the Ferrari Daytona is part of the V12 flagship Ferrari models. It came after the 275 GTB, but this one was designed by legendary Leonardo Fioravanti, so the design concept is totally different from the 275 and the older 250 models. It is also the last of its breed, because right after this model, Ferrari, needing to compete with the Lamborghini V12 flagship models by then, which had the mid-engine layout, they had to go with the 360 Berlinetta Boxer, also with the mid-engine layout. Now, Ferrari went with that layout for 20-odd years before introducing the front-engine V12 layout again, with, of course, the 550 Maranello. So this Daytona is probably the last of its kind, being the last of the traditional V12 Ferrari flagship model with the engine at the front. So values today have skyrocketed. In the UK is anywhere between £500,000 to £1 million. In Hong Kong, this is a 10 million Hong Kong dollar car. So it's a very, very valuable car, and we're very, very lucky to be able to test it today. So let's go inside and see how it drives. Right. So we're inside the Daytona. Oh my God, I really never imagined I'll be driving a Ferrari Daytona one day. I've got the right watch gear today just for this car. So let's see how it is. My heart is really pounding. All right, usual starting procedures for old carburetor Ferrari. Nothing I'm not used to. Turn the key first, listen to the fuel pump. The car's all warmed up already, so we don't have to wait a lot. Put my foot a bit down the throttle. Wow, the throttle is quite hard. And then you start. Fires up right away. Oh, listen to that V12 roar. Listen to that. Now, everyone online or in the media says the Daytona has a very, very heavy clutch. So we're about to find out if that's the case. Electric windows, wow, electric windows, 1973 and electric windows already. Okay, dog leg first. Again, nothing I'm not used to, very easy to slot into. Now with these older Ferraris, they don't have the gated, open gated gearbox, but it feels similar anyway. Clutch is down, clutch feels all right, stepping down, but let's see how it goes. My first time setting off. Okay, clutch is kind of high. It's not that heavy though. It's very high. The bite point is very high. This is literally my first time driving the car, so you're getting all the freshest reaction from me. Okay, so immediate impression. Clutch is okay, but very high biting point. Brake, very sensitive. Other than that, nothing to complain about. Absolutely nothing to complain about. That should be the last stop light for a while. Oh. So open it a little just now. The throttle is quite hard, so you really have to step on it to get it going. This car is in very rude health, so power delivery is as you would expect. Now the sound, we're going to try it more later, but immediately it's already very different from the 330 GT 2+2 that we tested, which also has the Colombo V12, but this one, as expected, is clearly a lot more racier, a lot more aggressive sounding, and the car is obviously lighter too. Another thing I noticed was the transmission, the gearbox, the travel between each gear, second to third, third to fourth, the travel is quite long. Like the distance between each gear is quite far off from each other, which is not something I've experienced before in a Ferrari. Anyway, let's go. I'm in now third gear. Listen to that! Full throttle! Bam! Whoa! The car is fast. I mean, for 70s cars, it's not slow. Oh, you can tell this is such a GT cruiser because in this open highway, the car feels so at home. This is a Continental driver. Oh, you can just go on and on. So we've enjoyed the clearer traffic. I've had more time under my belt with this car. A few things. First, like I said, everyone says the Daytona, everything is hard, everything is heavy. Yes and no. The steering is notoriously heavy, apparently. But this one has the electric steering added to it, which I think many Daytona owners do these days, because why not? So I can't comment if the steering is a problem on this car. I mean, it has been really easy. The steering is the easiest and lightest thing, lightest control so far. Again, the clutch, yes, it's heavy, but I've tried heavier ones. The brakes are sensitive, but that could be, something specific to this car. But the throttle is very hard. Like, you really have to make an effort to step on it to get the power going. But once the power starts going, oh my, this car is really, really fast for its age. I mean, we were already doing some naughty speeds just now, and I wasn't, even being intentional. Again, not a surprise because this is a proper GT car, cross-continent car. I read back then, so now obviously the Daytona came out at the same time as the Lamborghini Miura. That was when Lamborghini decided, or more like invented, the supercar layout, having the engine at the rear, you know, the mid-engine layout, V12. Now, Ferrari didn't follow suit immediately. It was only afterwards that they came out with the 365 Berlinetta Boxer, all the way until the F512M. But I read that now, obviously I haven't had the chance to try the Lamborghini Miura yet, but I read that at the time a lot of reviews complained that the Miura, its head lifted when going at high speeds, because obviously most of the weight is at the back. Hence, the Miura couldn't do the 175 miles per hour speed, top speed, that this car can, and instead only manage about 171 or 72. Now this car, on the other hand, as I said, we were doing some speed just now, and it was very steady. Absolutely, you know, nothing feels floaty. The front definitely didn't lift. So a very well-balanced car from some highway driving just now, which should be the case because the engine is at the front, and to keep the balance better, the gearbox is actually at the rear. So, you know, Ferrari followed its old layout tradition with this car, and it's fine. And another thing, you know, moving away from the powertrain mechanical things, one thing I noticed that now the Daytona is obviously a very beautiful car, designed by none other than Leonardo Fioravanti, but it's actually quite low profile, I realize, optically, because when we were in the city just now, not that many people were looking. It's not a car that really tries to grab attention. In a way, you know, to the layman, it's kind of an if you know car, which for classic cars I think is great. I mean, if you want a flashy, loud car that everyone looks at, you know, get a Lamborghini Aventador or something. So that was something I didn't expect, because for petrol heads like us, of course, when we see a Daytona, we go crazy and drool all over it. But for the general public, I realize people are not looking at it as much as, let's say, the 512 TR or the Murcielago that we tried. So yeah, all in all, wow, what an experience. Did not disappoint at all. The car was just so lovely to drive. I mean, obviously it's winter in Hong Kong now, so the weather is great. So I don't know, I haven't gotten to experience, thankfully, you know, any high temperatures or whatnot. But on a day like this, on roads like these, oh my God, what were people complaining about? If this was my car, I'll drive it all the time, which I'm happy to say, my friend, the owner of this car, does drive it a lot. I've seen him a couple of times already on the road in car parks, public car parks and whatnot, since he has bought this car. So that's good news for all of us. I hope you all enjoyed this episode as much as I've thoroughly enjoyed this car. If you did, please give us a like, please subscribe. Please remember to click the bell button next to the subscribe button so you know when our next video is coming. Thank you and have a good day.